Wow. Look at you. Oh. There we go. That's better.
Hey, Bob, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, good.
Hi there, Barbara.
Hi,
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Okay.
You ready for the storm?
I'm not psyched, to be honest.
Me neither. You've got a storm behind you in your.
Well, yeah, the aftermath of the storm, yes.
Yeah, I'm not psyched for this either. But at any rate, they say we haven't had a real blizzard in a long time, so they want to call this a blizzard.
Oh, well, they don't have to make up for lost time, you know.
The weather people have to do this. It's how they get.
Is the weather people controlling it?
Oh, yeah. They have to.
Oh.
No, the weather people, they have to do this so they can get people to watch.
I love blizzards.
Really? Why?
Yes, I love the snow. I love winter. I don't like it when it causes harm and danger to the residents here and in other communities, but I've always enjoyed the storms.
Do you go outside and watch it?
Sometimes.
Yeah, like go down to the wharf?
I don't go down to the wharf. I would go up to 40 steps.
Oh, that's where it's prettiest. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my place.
Yeah.
Good point.
If my snow removal situation were different, it would, I mean, well, Julie, you know, the problem I have no place to put the snow.
Right, right.
You have a big, long sidewalk, and where do you put it?
Exactly. I have to literally, you know, I can't just pick up a shovel full of snow and sort of throw it onto the lawn next to the driveway. I have to pick up a shovel full of snow and walk it 10 yards to someplace else and then drop it. And it's just.
Yeah. No, I feel your pain. I'm sorry for you. My husband and I got to an age where we have the driveway plowed. We share it with our neighbor, but we have the driveway plowed and we just open up a space for him to dump it. We don't care. We don't even care if he digs up the grass. That can be put back.
So Bob, what's happened to the neighborhood boys who you used to be able to pay, you know, $1 or $2?
They all grew up.
I know. My husband used to do that. He said they used to go around during a storm. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, I used to do that. Oh yeah.
Really?
Sometimes I get paid in hot chocolate.
Wow. So inflation definitely has set in.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Those were the fun days. I've always liked the storm.
Well, what happens is kids sled down Willow Road, our hill, which is, I think that's probably the steepest hill in town.
Either that or Harborview.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I never went down the road. I went down through all the fields and the woods.
Yeah.
All the summer folk, we'd go up to their house and slide down from their house through the backyard.
Michelle says Ocean Street.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
we had this awesome
Summer Street. She says Summer Street.
Oh, okay.
When my older siblings were kids, there were very few houses on in the Ocean Street block. So they just used to go down there.
Yeah. I grew up in the kind of countryside of Pennsylvania, and our sledding hill was just fabulous.
Nice.
The one challenge, though, is it ended like right at the bottom of the hill was a barbed wire fence.
No, not good, not good.
So that added to the challenge of this.
To the éclat.
DeWitt, I think you're right. DeWitt says that Wendell Road Extension is the steepest. That one practically goes straight up.
When I was young, the only place locally here in Nahant to sled was back of the Angelo's house. It wasn't the Angelo's then. And there was a hill that went down, and if you didn't stop, you went
to the ocean.
Into the ocean. That's even more of a challenge than barbed wire fence.
Well, we used to take the kids, because Newton was where we were when the kids were growing up. I forget the name of the golf course, but there was this huge hill by a golf course in the big old golf, fancy, you know,
the golf club.
Excuse me?
The country club.
The country club, yes. So we would take the kids there, and not being someone who grew up with winter, once I got on one of those tube things, and I thought, oh, not a problem, right? And I had our daughter with me on the tube. Oh my God. I mean, it's a miracle we survived. She remembers that. I mean, oh, those things go fast.
Well,
they're dangerous.
Yes.
And I don't care how cute your pink snowsuit is, it's still.
Yeah. So, all right. I've been watching people. I know we have a quorum, and Allison is with us as well. Tony emailed me earlier and said he may not make it, so we shouldn't wait on him. So let's see, for the minutes, it is 7:03, and we have a quorum present from the Finance Committee is Bob Vanderslice. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Julie Tarmy, Deborah Warren, DeWitt Brown, Dana Sheehan, who else is here? Barbara Beatty. Allison is the town accountant is with us. Michelle Capano is with us. And I would like to welcome a new Finance Committee member, Dan McMacken. Yay.
Oh,
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Barbara.
Hi, Dan. Where do you live?
We live on Rollins Avenue, just past the apartments on Bass Point.
Oh,
Nice place.
Yeah.
So, hey, Dan, can you give us like the, you know, your elevator speech of like who you are?
Candace is my wife, Candace Cahill, and we're active in the boat club. We're active in the American Legion. I own a small engineering company, a family business. I've been the president for 10 years. We design and build food factories and do automation.
Awesome. That was
So
well
do you
done.
do it all around? I mean, like you do it a lot of different places, or just?
Our customers, Barbara, are folks like Sam Adams, Ken's Food Salad Dressing, Coke, Pepsi, and lately Purell. We handle their manufacturing design. So we build their factory for them.
Wow. Well, we're very, very happy to have you on board.
Well,
so
I was happy to be approved and look forward to working with this August group.
Well.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, we hope we can live up to that.
And Bob, just for the minutes, Judy Zohor is not present as yet.
Yes, Judy Zohor is not with us right now.
You.
All right. Should we approve minutes from last week?
Yeah.
Yes, please. I made that change. Sorry about that.
I move to accept the minutes. Second.
All right. All in favor? Let's do it with a roll call vote. Vanderslice, aye.
Brown, aye.
Lauren, aye.
Tommy, aye.
I have to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting, but
Correct.
I read the minutes and they look terrific.
Thank you.
She and I.
I think that is everyone.
Yep.
Unanimous. Good grief.
Good grief. Yep. Okay. What I would propose we do this evening is let's get ourselves organized for the upcoming budget season. And I think this is actually going to be really helpful for the new folks on the committee as well. So,
Bob, just sorry to interrupt. I apologize. Just while we're talking about the minutes, before we get into the essence of our meeting, there was, we had a meeting with Jeff a couple weeks ago, and I think we're supposed to file with the minutes anything that was presented in the meeting. And did we get that? Did we get Jeff's presentation?
We do not have to file those with the minutes. We need to have it available if someone requests it, but it does not have to be filed with the clerk.
Well, so where is it? I mean, where was whatever he presented?
Whatever he presented should have been emailed to me that I keep in a file here. And if it's ever requested, then we as a committee, we have it available.
Okay, Julie, I accept that, but
No, that came from the clerk.
I have heard from other people that, anything presented in the meeting has to be filed with the minutes.
This came from the clerk, clarification. Tony mentioned that at our last meeting, and it was confirmed by the town clerk that they don't have to be submitted with the meeting, the meeting minutes, but we do have to have them available if someone should request them.
Okay, I'll follow up because I'm going to find out if that's the way it's going to be, because we should follow the open meeting law requirements, and filing whatever is presented seems to make sense to me.
Okay, well, if you find out that the law requires something different, let me know, and we'll make sure we confirm it with the clerk and the town administrator again.
Sure, we'll do it, Julie.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, this is rough, but I think it will help us get organized. And Allison, I know we're going to kind of lean on you a little bit here to help us out with some of this. So this is like a talking worksheet to help us through getting ourselves organized here. So here we go. First of all, just a couple of resources, some of which are new, some of which are historic, and let's kind of talk about that. Last year, for the first time ever, we set up a shared drive, like a shared internet drive where we could drop files and so forth. I think it worked really well. I'd like to continue it if there are no objections. I looked all around and I, for the life of me, can't find the link to it. So I'm going to take it as homework to talk to John Fulgham, who actually set it up, and see if I can get the link to that and breathe new life into it. He's also going to have to make me or someone else on the committee, preferably more than me, an administrator of that. Now, having said all that, Allison, help us here. Does the town have a similar capability that we really ought to be using rather than setting up our own? Because I don't want to go and go rogue on anybody here.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, no. We have something, we have shared files for employees, but nothing that would be accessible for you guys. So I think that this is how it has to be done. Okay. Do we have to provide public access to it? Do you know? I do not know that.
Bob, I think that Tony spoke about this maybe at the first meeting we had in this series. Yeah. That it would be for us to put in our documents, for us to view, not to deliberate on, but just to view, make edits and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the purpose of this is a storage place or a sharing place, not a debate place. Right. So we can drop things there, but it's not for public debate, which has to be done in the open meeting format. All right, so this this one's my homework. We have also every year traditionally they hand us. This is going to be hard to do with this camera, but they hand us these wonderful giant notebooks that have all of the town's financial data, and they're continually updated. By update, I mean with paper. So every couple of weeks, we'll get a 20 sheets of new updates that we're supposed to collate into our notebook. Allison,
I'm working on that right now.
Well,
do we need to have it? I mean, is it?
Thank you. Judy, you joined us and you stole my.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Go. I mean, you.
All right. It just seems a huge amount of work, a huge amount of paper. Is there any? Do we have to have that? I mean, I would just as soon not get one.
I'd love to do this all electronically if you guys are on board with that.
Yes, please.
Because they are difficult to put together. You know, some of the spreadsheets are different sizes. So I'm doing copies on legal size, and I had to have help in actually putting the notebooks together, but I'd prefer to just, you know, send electronic copies if I could. If there were a few individuals that wanted printed books, you know, I could do that. And because the versions change so often, I feel like there was confusion behind like who got the new printed copies and, you know, so it's up to you. I'm working on all of the spreadsheets now. Tony and I have met with every department and have discussed their FY23 budget request. Today, he and I sat down to kind of recap those meetings, or at least start to, and go through a first pass of the selectman and administrator budget. So I'm updating everything as we go along. I'm hoping to get you a version of those spreadsheets over the next few weeks.
Okay. All right. So does this make sense to everybody? Once we get our shared drive redirected, we'll make a folder in there that's just called current notebook or something like that, and then subfolders for each of the tabs. And then Allison, as you create new content, all you have to do is make sure that you've got the most current one in the appropriate spot.
So I don't have, am I going to have access to your shared? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I can do that.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yeah, good idea.
It's everyone, well, let's ask in the negative. Does anybody not like this?
I need DeWitt Brown. I was able last year to find that thing, but I couldn't do anything with it. So I need somebody to teach me how to use that Google Drive thing. But okay. I think that Google Drive thing is better than the notebooks.
Okay. All right. So once we get it set up, we'll take a few minutes and do like a crash course.
I think that'd be great.
Okay. Awesome.
At some point, one comment, Bob. At some point when things become final in the various departmental budgets, we need to have version control over it, don't we? So that
yes,
we're all looking at the same thing.
Yes. No, you are absolutely right. As we start to develop the book, we do need to have some kind of version control over it. And I honestly, I haven't given any thought to it. So,
well, wouldn't it be that if Allison puts it in, she's the only one, and it's read only, then you know, then she's the one that updates. So everything we're looking at is always the current version.
Right. Yeah. I think I was speaking more to as we start to develop the book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. Then, but yeah, if we set this up, you know, to kind of replicate the notebook electronically, then it's Allison that's going to have version control.
Okay, sounds good to me.
You know, good point. All right, my next thing in here. So historically, what we've done, or the way we've organized ourselves, is we've appointed a liaison, which I hope I spelled correctly, to each of the departments in the town government. The liaison's responsibility is essentially to be the expert on that department, and in a sense to be an advocate together with the department head for that. And then as each, well, we'll get to this in a second, but as each of the, as the discussion turns to each of the departments, the liaison and the department head together are responsible for presenting the budget, discussing any of the issues, and so forth. I want to come back to this in a second, but one of the things we need to do tonight is divvy up the liaison responsibilities.
Bob, we already did that.
I think we have that in meeting minutes, but I don't.
I think we did some. I don't think we completed it.
Yeah, I don't think we completed it.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So we will come back to this piece, because this, I think, will make a little more sense once we talk through the schedule. So this is kind of Bob's subjective key milestones to getting to town meeting. And it's easier to start at the end to start the discussion. So town meeting is, I don't know. I looked all over the website for town meeting, Allison. I don't know the date of the darn thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's May the something.
I'm pretty sure it's May 21st.
Okay, I mean, we can adjust that as necessary. All right, our primary responsibility is to write and publish that book that appears in the mail, that goes to all of the town citizens, or all of the town voters anyway. And as I remember, that is due 2 weeks before town meeting in the voters' hands, right? So
7 May.
Say what?
That'd be 7 May.
Yep. So this is May 7th.
Excuse me, Bob, I have a question. Is this document here going to be accessible to all of us?
We can put it in our shared drive, and we can put it in our minutes too. So yes, I'm being a wise ass on you, but yes.
I thought Tony used to say that it was only due a week in advance. You're sure it's 2 weeks?
No,
we need to get it in the mail 2 weeks prior, don't we?
Correct, but they don't have to get it on their doorsteps until a week in advance, correct?
That's what I believe.
So, okay,
yeah.
So this is really minus 1 week. And let's quickly put another step in here. What am I doing? Insert below. So this is book to post office.
That would be May 7th.
And this is 2 weeks, 2 weeks prior. Okay, so this is going to be May the 14th. This is going to be May the 7th. So that's our drop. Well, that's not even our drop dead date. Book to printer, give ourselves 2 weeks for that. So we're at like April the something or other.
22 April, 23 April.
All right. So, okay. If we're going to get the book to the printer, realistically, we need a couple of days to just do the final, put everything together, get it edited, get it proofed, and all that. So, I would say this is like April give ourselves 3 days. Dan, you've got a calendar beside you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, depending on that's going to be the last bit of fudging. I'd like to see that be a full week.
There you go. Okay. So that would,
we're coming off 22 April. I'd say we make it 15 April.
okay. A question, this is an Allison question. Do you know if anyone of the town hall staff will be available to help us produce the book and organize it with a printer and so forth?
I think Kristen helped. Kristen Taylor helped with it last year in terms of sending it over to the printer and everything. I also helped in the sense that I produced, you know, many of the tables and stuff that you guys put into the books. But in terms of kind of compiling it all together, Kristen and I can help you with that.
Okay.
And by help, I guess, Allison, we need kind of clarity about what's that mean, because it's always work, and not that, you know, but it's usually work for the chair, and then it's the last minute rush. So what is, to be perfectly blunt, what will you do? What will you do, or what will your team do?
So I guess I don't know what you would need us to do. I guess, you know, you have to come up with all of the material, but I'm happy to help, you know, combine that and communicate with the printer.
So this is the piece I don't know. I had a brief conversation with John Fulgham at the end of last year, and he said there's a piece of software that he and others have used to help compile it. And it sounded like something that let you structure a huge document by referencing various and putting together various PDF files. But I
have a software program that does that pulls together PDF files to make a large document. So I have the capability of doing that.
Are you volunteering to use this on our behalf?
Yes, I certainly can.
Okay. Awesome. So really, then what we've got to do is we've got to make sure the various pieces are all formatted correctly in a PDF format.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So we're not going to have to create this one big giant printer ready document.
So we can do that. I have one software that does it. I also think Kristen might have something that's a little more sophisticated, because she puts together the annual report for the town, which is over 100-page document. So between the two of us, we can, once we get all of your documents in PDF format, either one of us can combine them all and make the larger document.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So that's essentially, you know, that's our deliverable, is all of the various pieces formatted properly in PDF format. And we're giving Allison, you and your team a week to pull it all together into final form.
And I'm happy to work with you on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of, you know, I can't speak for all of you, but certainly, yeah, you know, I'm happy to chip in there. I've just never done it.
Right. I'm very interested in learning the process. So,
Bob, would you put in on that subject header there, that item, something about a little more specific, like all our PDF files or something, so that I know what complete means? Okay. That's good enough for me.
And we also have to have the letter.
Yep.
That introductory letter where we, you know, and Julie always has some wonderful piece of history at the beginning.
Yes, that's generally a collaborative effort.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, that's part of it. So maybe I guess for the new folks, maybe this has helped. So what is our content? So it's the cover letter. It is the budget itself, so that in the format in which it will be voted on town hall floor. And it is all of the articles with our recommendation. So for every article, we have to have, well, I can't say that after last meeting. For most articles, except perhaps for some of the citizen petition ones, we have to produce, we have to have a recommendation. And we will typically either recommend it, meaning we think it's a worthy article, that we're recommending that the townspeople vote in the affirmative. We will not recommend it, meaning exactly the opposite. We don't agree with it and we think it should be voted down by the town meeting. Or in some cases we will have no recommendation, which means we're not going to comment either way because it's really not in our purview to do so. Those are relatively unusual. And that's those two things, the budget itself and the recommendations on the articles, are what take the time. So we have a recommendation, and then there's, depending on the article, either a short or long statement from the Finance Committee explaining why we came to that recommendation. So that's kind of the really the bulk of the hard work that we have to do. There's a number of things that are not just, but are more supporting exhibits and statements and things like that we go into the book, but they don't really require a whole. They're produced typically by Allison and others in town hall staff. Okay. All right. So now we know it's April 15th, tax day, by the way. That we're shooting for, and I'm going to go back and do this looking forward rather than working backwards now. So the citizens articles deadline, I believe, is already passed.
Right. Well, I thought that was the 31st.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's January 31st.
Do we have any? Have you seen any, Allison?
No, I personally have not seen any, but that doesn't mean we don't have any. They would come into the town clerk. So.
Okay, so this is is it 10 signatures? We did all this last week and I've forgotten, but I believe with 10 signatures, a citizen can request an article be placed onto the town warrant. And the deadline for submitting those with the required signatures is January the 31st. Okay, so Allison, this is kind of for you. When do we get to the point where the budget is firm, it's solid enough that we really want to start soliciting our liaison, our department heads, and start working our way through that process?
Yeah, so like I said,
it was delivery of the notebooks to our doorsteps by the police department, but
so we've met, Tony and I have met with all the departments. He and I are beginning to review, all the requests. We started that today. I'm meeting again with him. I have, time scheduled with him next week. And then we'll probably have a good draft of it the week after that, because I'm actually going on vacation after that. So I promised Tony I would have, a lot of this done before I leave for vacation on February 15th. So I know that you guys will meet once while I'm away. I get back on the 24th. So I'm hoping to have solid draft for you before I leave for vacation.
Okay, so we'll give you to the last minute.
Okay.
February 15th.
Sounds good.
All right. The school department typically works on their own schedule.
I do have a draft of theirs. He goes through various iterations with the school committee. So everything that I put together will have, the superintendent's latest iteration of their budget.
Yeah. Do you know when they intend to firm it? To approve it?
Superintendent Pierantozzi, I went to the meeting last night. he was sounding quite confident that things were going to be moving along quickly. He was not anticipating problems. I mean, he does know that they get a little extra time, but he said himself, he had a smile on his face. So.
Yeah, I think really the only things that could change at this point in theirs is the Essex Tech assessment, you know, just based on the latest enrollment figures. But he's on his 4th iteration of their budget, and those 4 iterations have not changed greatly.
Right.
So.
Actually, I think he said last night his 5th, but it was just, yeah, but you know, he also said not big change. He was feeling very solid and confident about it. Good.
Yeah.
They still don't have the contract though with the teachers. That's what they're really waiting on.
Okay.
Barbara, is it done yet? Are they still negotiating?
They're still negotiating, is my understanding.
What's it look like for raises in there? Do you know at this point?
He didn't show. We didn't see that.
Okay.
He may have shown that to the school committee members, but we didn't see it.
We were there at the meeting, and he didn't discuss it.
No.
Well, there's probably a good reason for that. Okay. And like the school department, the CPC is kind of on their own schedule as well. And I don't know. I'll talk to Lynn and see if she has a schedule in mind. But
well, they're I've been at their meetings over the last couple of months, and they're still accepting applications until the 28th of January, and then they go into the mode of vetting all those applications. But she says that the match is supposed to be very high.
But what is?
The match, the state match for the funds.
Oh, match, right.
Sorry, it's supposed to be very high. Somewhere around 90%, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah,
it
wonderful.
was very high last year.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's good news.
Very good news.
Okay. Again, we need to figure out what this date is. The proponent of any article, even the non-citizen petition articles, may submit a short statement that gets included in the book immediately following or preceding, I think following our recommendation. And there is a deadline for submitting that we can look up. But I'll figure out what that one is. Allison, do you know, do the selectmen have a target for their final approval, budget approval? So this is another TBD.
Yeah, no, I don't know that as of right now.
Okay. All right. But the key thing that we needed to drive out of this is this piece that I mysteriously called departmental meetings. We have for sometime between February 15th and April 1st to work our way through all of the departmental meetings and approve the budgets and get the articles squared away. So let's go back to the liaisons now.
Bob?
Yes, sir.
PDF means portable document format. You're redundant.
Okay. All right. You're going to make me change this, aren't you?
Yes. It should read all clean as PDFs.
Bill, we'll take this offline, but I would say that it's accepted usage to say PDF format.
Okay.
Even though
it's
technically
redundant.
Even though technically I can see that you are correct.
But what PDF means is that it can't be changed. It's not just a Word doc. It means that it's been turned into a PDF. So it's...
Which means portable document format.
Exactly. But it means that it has more permanence than a Word doc.
Agreed.
Exactly. It's more robust than read only.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly.
But not much. You can break them.
Yeah,
Ooh,
you can. If
I
you
didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah. It's not that. It's not that hard. Okay. So liaisons. What we need to do is we need to do two things. You know, is the way I suggested categorizing this right? Is this what we want? And then who is the liaison for each of these? I loosely called them categories. So the way I broke it up was general government. So that's town hall, assessors, selectmen, all of that stuff. What I thought might be the controversial stuff in there is that's where the IT budget falls. It's where the assessor's budget falls. Sheila did send me an email saying that she wanted to be sure she met with us this year. So I think there's something up, but I don't know what it is. With the assessors, and it's also where all the town hall salaries and benefits fall. And you know, somehow town hall salaries always often ends up being more controversial than you would think. So that was my first category. Public safety is police and fire. I am not aware of anything cooking in the sense of unusual or controversial in either police or fire department at this point.
There will be.
Question. What do you think about breaking that up maybe, or?
Good. Okay.
You know, police and fire, separate items. What does everybody else think?
At last meeting, I don't know if people put their names on individual things or if there was just a whole DPW person.
So I guess my question for you guys is, you know, for general government, who would you be meeting with regarding that? Because that does, you know, encompass a number of departments. You have the town clerk, you have election and registration, you know, you have the assessor's office, the selectmen's department, the town administrator's budget, my budget, it all falls under that.
Yeah, I would have said Tony.
Yeah.
And well, I don't think Sheila actually reports to Tony, so.
Right, so she has a board.
So we could bust this out?
Yeah.
All right, I'll fix it later. Okay, so police, fire, DPW. This one's big. This is one that we may also want to think about busting up. But right now,
to me too, Bob. Maybe like DPW, then a separate one for water and sewer. What do you think?
Yeah,
that makes sense, Dana.
Yeah, Bill, or sorry, DeWitt, this was you last year. Does that make sense to you?
I'll be happy to take on the water and sewer too as the liaison.
What am I doing here now? I guess a lot of this goes away, but this is going to have in it, and this is going to be rates, sewer, and debt shift. All kind of are going to fall under that one. And I heard Dana volunteer.
Yeah, I don't know what I did there, but yeah, I guess I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bill, or sorry, DeWitt, I was going to say, since this was you last year, can I put you in as the second on this one?
He's muted.
He's either yelling at me on mute or
Does it include the lowlands water?
no, well,
That's down below.
Yeah, this is down, that's down below. So we'll get there in a second. School.
Deborah and I are on school, and we've already been going to school committee meetings and talked with the school committee.
Okay. Deborah, are you an ORAH?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, we got that filled out. CPC.
I've been going to their meetings. I'd like to be that liaison.
Okay.
I can go there too. I got some experience as an alternate.
Awesome. All right, then this is one I created. We've never really had this before. And my thought was there are a bunch of things that have been previously approved but are still out there in flight. So East Point Matter, you can take the East Point Matters any way you want. I intended it to mean matters as in things that are going on, but East Point does matter. So all you know, that's eminent domain, the various legal actions and all the rest of that. I've forgotten who it was. Was it DeWitt that mentioned lowlands flooding?
Yeah, DeWitt said that.
So I included that in this kind of previously approved and in flight. Then Coast Guard housing is still out there, and I don't think we've heard the last of that one yet. Does that make sense as a topic?
Well, I mean, are we going to have items on this year's warrant referring to these?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I don't know.
Right.
Some of these are kind of big enough and controversial enough that we may want to include an update to the townspeople about them in our book.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think these are things that people will want updating on. Have we ever done
I agree,
before?
Barbara, Bob, it's I think these vampires are unlikely to stay dead, and we may have to react to them. So I agree that we need to be prepared to discuss them.
Oh, but one other point though, one, have we ever done that before? And two, even the updates could be very, I don't know the right word for it, but could involve things that we don't have full purview over. I'm not saying this correctly, but they would need to be extremely carefully written, and they would need to be approved by the Board of Selectmen, etc.
Yeah. Yes, and potentially by council as well.
Yes.
Right. It would have to be very, very explicitly factual.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
If
well put, thank you. Yep.
As somebody asked a minute ago, if there aren't any actual articles in the warrant about these, do they really belong, especially since they're going to be, require a lot of dotting I's and crossing T's? And if there's not a precedent for doing that.
Yeah, Deborah, I tend to agree with that. This is Dana. Unless there's an article addressing it.
I think we need to be prepared so we know that these are things that might come up. So, I mean, I don't mind taking on one of them.
But that's different from putting it in the book.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I thought you were talking about, someone said something about a very factually written something. And where would that go?
Yeah, that's what I was floating is, we should consider including an update in the book, but I am still not completely sold on that yet.
In the past, in the town reports, there have been statements by different departments who might have responsibility. I've been reading a lot of town reports in the last 2 weeks, and different departments or committees would address any of these issues that may not necessarily have an article, but sort of as an update or what's happened in the last year. So that's
where they belong. Maybe that's where they belong.
Right. If there's no article, then we don't have anything to say about them. But if a particular committee or the Board of Selectmen want to include a letter or report, they certainly can do that to update because people are going to have questions. And that's certainly something that has happened. Well, I haven't been through all of the town reports, but I went up to 1997 and there were still reports in the annual town reports on matters that have been previously on warrants.
Okay. All right, but then let's do this. Let's just make sure we have a person who's keeping an eye on these things. Judy was our Coast Guard housing liaison last year, and if it's okay with her, I'd keep her on that.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, and I think DeWitt, you were the lowlands flooding czar. Are you okay keeping an eye on what's going on there?
I can't help it.
All right. East Point matters.
I'm happy to keep an eye on that, keep my ear to the rail.
Okay.
And Bob, you also were involved. Do you want to be also on that with Julie or not?
Sure, I'll add myself there. Okay, culture and rec.
I had volunteered for that.
This one tends to be the least controversial of all.
Yeah, I put my name in for that. I've already had a discussion with the library as well on their budget.
Oh, and I'd like to note, maybe this isn't the right point to do it, but at the school committee meeting, Kevin Andrews, the principal, emphasized how well the new partnership with the library is going. And he just is thrilled. Sharon goes down there and is doing all of that coordinating. And it's going really well. They're very happy.
Right, that's good news. That's the sort of thing that the town would want to know.
Yeah, and they were made a bit thrilled. I mean, and they see it as being a really special new program that is providing a lot of excellent new content, and it's a great addition.
Okay. All right, did we miss anything here in that list?
Yeah, Bob, I have one. This is Dana.
Yep.
The pandemic relief funds are still hanging out there, and we don't know how they're going to be applied to the budget. And so it's something we need to take a look at or keep an eye on.
Okay.
And you can throw me there if you want to, since I brought it up.
I was going to ask anyway, so all right. Okay.
Well, I should volunteer for something here. I'm only down for one thing. So what else makes sense?
I don't know. I was going to ask Dan, do you want to do police?
I'm willing to do please.
Great.
That was a typo, not a Freudian
Do
slip.
you want me to do fire? Would that make sense? Or what else? I'm just saying, I'm happy to do, you know, whatever folks think I would.
That's fine.
Or
the heavy lifting ones are, I think, are DPW.
Right.
No, if you want to do.
Does that make sense? I mean, what else do we have?
General government and DPW.
Right.
Judy, do you want to do DPW?
I can. I can.
Let's do that. And why don't we do like this?
Oh, good. Yeah, Dan, I look forward to working with you. That's good. That way we can we'll switch off on those.
Great. That's a good plan.
Yep.
Primary, secondary, and each of the two public safety.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. General government.
Who handled that last year, just out of curiosity?
I honestly don't know. I don't remember.
Was it you, Bob?
I don't know, but I mean, I'd be happy to do it.
Could have been John too.
That's right. It could have been John. Could have been Jeff.
I think it probably was.
Oh, and this is completely off the topic, but I ran into Jeff Lewis, just walking the town, and he's found another $40,000 worth of revenue.
Wonderful.
Which is
wow.
Yeah, apparently most towns in the Commonwealth, when they do the police details, you know, the off-duty patrolmen who will go to an event and serve there, they charge a 10% administrative fee. The town charges an administrative fee on top of the hourly rate for the officer, and we have never done that. And it ends up being like $400,000 a year, of which 10% is $40,000. So I was like,
Tony's actually going to present that to the Board of Selectmen, I believe, at their next meeting to vote on. We want to implement it even before next fiscal year.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yep, but I mean, I prior to that conversation, I was all gung-ho to try to get Jeff to come back and join the committee.
Oh
but
no, he's more valuable that way.
Yeah, he's doing a better job not on the committee.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm just going to start writing in names here.
Oh, that's great.
Do you want to be second on culture and rec, Judy?
Culture and rec. Well, I mean, I can. Sure.
And then
It's always fun to work with Julie. Sure.
I can be second on. Okay.
I'm subjectively trying to spread the load. Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Bob, can you flesh out what the tasks are under the category articles?
That's my placeholder for any articles that don't fall into this above structure.
All others, okay.
So, just to be clear, so like where it says water and sewer, if there's an article related to water and sewer, we need to borrow an additional X amount of dollars to complete the sewer project. That would be the responsibility of whoever is in, the team that's in charge of water and sewer. So it's not just the water and sewer budget, but it's any articles that would be related to it. But we occasionally get articles that are not really related to that. So there may be, like zoning change articles or town bylaw change articles and stuff like that. And we're not really going to know until we see the list. So that's what would be in articles.
Where's the budget? The various budget articles.
That's
all of these.
That's all of these. So
whoever's got. I thought there was one general one at the top where we have to. One sort of. I can go get my book and look.
Omnibus?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that is the compilation of all of these.
But it gets laid out as its own article.
Yes, it gets laid out as its own article, and Allison generally prepares the schedule. And I don't know. I guess it's usually the chair of the finance committee that gets the pleasure of reading the entire omnibus budget. And I'll be happy to relinquish that responsibility to any volunteer that wants to do it.
But you're so articulate, Bob.
How articulate can you be saying, my favorite was always wages for pages.
Yeah.
Seriously, there used to be a line item that was the library.
So is there,
the library pages.
Yeah.
Is there anything that says that we have to read it?
I think we do have to read it.
We do, because people can, if they have one line item that they want to discuss aside from the omnibus,
No, I mean, can't we just say, here's the omnibus, everybody's got a copy of it. Are there any questions? What's the value in spending 20 minutes reading it?
I don't know. I have just always assumed it is a legal requirement to read it, but I don't know that for a fact.
And it gives people the opportunity to pass on certain line items as you read them.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain you have to read through each one, unfortunately.
No, I had no idea if it was a requirement.
Yeah, I remember John up there last year. It's a long read.
Yeah, I have done it. It's a long read.
We're talking about the budget, the full budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's consolidated. There aren't as many lines in what is read on the town meeting floor as there are in the budget analysis that we get. But it's still got to be probably 100 lines at least. That was, by the way, that was my one contribution, my one lasting contribution to town meeting was I was the one that started numbering the lines in the omnibus budget so they were easier to refer to.
Useful, really useful. Thank you.
My continuing legacy.
Bob, could I get a bit of clarity on the roles, responsibility, and deliverables of the liaison against the category? I'm assuming that this group expects the person who's identified as the liaison to become the subject matter expert of the budget requests on that category and to be able to report back to this group.
Yes, exactly.
Is that really what it is, or is there more? Is there something else?
So Dan, what we also do, for instance, what you and I would do is we would meet separately.
Yes.
With them and let them raise issues, explain their budget. We would, when we have their budget, we meet separately with them, like we can do a Zoom or however we want to do it, go over there and meet with them. But so we do have a separate meeting.
I assume that. So you and I, or each of the liaisons would become the subject matter expert, would interface with the appropriate player on the budget requesting side.
Yes.
To hear the story and be able to.
So like we could either go together, and both of us, usually that might work best. Particularly, we would both meet together with the police and with the fire, and they would, we'd arrange a meeting time. And last year, and I think I'm being hopeful about Omicron, having heard about BA2, but we did those in person just so people could, it was more informal talking.
Yeah,
I would agree. Hopefully you and I can meet together, both of us, with both of our counterparts, and give them a chance to make their case and their story, and then we'd report back to this group.
That's how it works. Exactly.
And you will get, can you still see my screen share?
Yes.
This police department thing that's up there. It's not going to look exactly like this, but it's going to be in this sort of level of detail. And it will give you the last couple of years of actual, the recommended budget, the department head's budget if it's different, and then percentage change and dollar change as well.
And also, if there are things that they are requesting, for instance, the new radio system, right?
Yes, thank you. Yep.
And for the fire, there was, I think, there was also a new truck of some sort, something. So there will be specific items that are part of their capital requests.
Right. Yeah. So in addition to the budget, as Barbara, as you said, it's, I'm trying to be, less concerned about why the stapler budget went up by $3, and more concerned about, what's going on down there,
Right. But for instance, the radio system was very expensive, but it was super important.
Yep.
So that kind of thing, there are some things like that that are very important to the departments.
Yeah. I mean, everything that they bring, nobody brings anything that's particularly, everything that they think is important for sure. The trouble is just having enough money to pay for it.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. And that's kind of where we look to the liaisons to try to, be the expert and help balance that out. Can they really use another patrolman? Do we need a new police cruiser this year? Is there any synergy between the police department and the fire department and the way they're running them? I'm just making stuff up as I go.
Don't be surprised when the fire department comes back and wants a new building.
Yeah.
So, and they're not wrong. That was a temporary building 60 years ago.
Right.
So they're not wrong. There is no money.
Bob, and everybody, do the liaisons write the the recommendations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But they're short. We just write usually a fairly short, sort of almost like a sentence that explains.
Yeah. Well, it really depends on the topic, but
right.
Pithy anyway.
That's a nice word for it. Thank you.
When you mentioned earlier, I did have a question because you said something about liaisons being the advocates of the areas that we're covering, but we will also be writing the not recommended stuff too, right?
Yes, and that's, you know, so you will occasionally find yourself writing a recommendation that is different than what you personally believe. If, you know, and it's always worked, but I guess if you would prefer not to, we could find someone who is truly an advocate to write it. Did that answer?
Well, no, but I'm talking about the recommending against.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if I'm making this up as I go along, but say there's an article where they want to buy a new police cruiser. And you know, you agree with the department head that, you know, I think a police cruiser is important and we ought to do it, and the rest of the committee votes no for whatever reason. You're the liaison, you should write the recommendation, but you should write it in the voice of the committee, not necessarily your personal voice. And Dan, did that answer your question?
Yes, good to go.
Okay, and Dana has raised his hand.
Thank you, Bob. I was wondering if we could put some more information here under likely controversial topics, or whatever that column is. So for DPW, all water and sewer, I did it last year. This is why I'm bringing it up there, but that is rubbish and recycling. And there's also the fees, so.
Yeah, fees, right. Fees or fees and rates.
Fees and rates, right.
Along here as well.
And then under the pandemic relief, maybe to use a legislative term or terms, ways and means or uses and sources of those funds.
Okay, and the backstory right behind fees and rates is our Jeff Lewis, our hero, has been doing a fairly exhaustive study trying to compare Nahant's fee and rate structure to other cities and towns in the Commonwealth and come up with some recommendations. So there's that effort going on behind the scenes. So that's why this mention of fees and rates. And I don't know what progress, if any, has been made. Allison, have you spoken to Jeff recently?
So he's asked, he sent an email last week asking to meet with Tony and I again. And so we're getting something on the books. I'm not sure if anything's been scheduled yet, so.
Okay. All right, so are we good here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we have some name in articles?
I
don't think we need to do that until we see the articles yet, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little, I think it's premature until we know what is going to be there.
I move to adjourn then.
Thank you, Bill. You read my mind.
Well, except that, so you're going to show us how to get here, right?
Well, yeah, once I figured out this shared drive, this is not on the shared drive.
Oh, okay.
It's just my, you know, my
okay. I just want to make sure that, okay. Not a problem. Thank you.
But I will
before we...
Citizens Petitions, Michelle Capuano.
Right.
or Capano.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, my only comment would be under next to Coast Guard housing, you might want to put something regarding affordable and low income housing, because that is a topic that's coming up over the next several weeks.
Coast Guard housing has been decided how it was, this is just I think, correct me if I'm wrong, last town meeting it was decided what was going to go there, and the lots and the sizes and all that. This is just an update about how long the tenants are there, when's work going to get started. That's just there's no more work going on to be discussed for Coast Guard. No,
you're right. They're starting to go through the deed process and the land, and they're going to probably reconstitute the committee to sell the land. But along with that has been discussions around affordable housing and taking a look at properties that are multifamily use. And there's going to be probably some type of study. So given Coast Guard housing, anything housing related, it just may be good just to link them all together.
I'm not really in favor of that, frankly, because the Coast Guard housing has gone through 15 years of decision making, and the decisions have been made. So I understand the need, and I understand the discussion, but I don't want to link them.
Just put it in as another bullet point that someone else
can do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Put it.
Thank you, Michelle.
We'll put it there so that at least it's on the radar.
Yep, that's a great idea.
And Bob and everyone, it's correct. For instance, so Dan, when you and I are working on police and fire together, we can write them together. I mean, we can look at each other's, we can decide, see what I'm trying to say? So we can then look at each other's and we can just go back and forth and say, oh, what, blah, blah. So it just makes it, it's nice to have somebody doing it with you. The final writing and everything.
With you to bounce back ideas and
exactly.
get a little confirmation.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
Okay. All right, so there was a motion on the floor. Oh no, a citizens forum, sorry. Michelle, you may be the only citizen that's with us.
I'll put my motion back on the floor.
No, that was the only question. I addressed it. Thanks, Bob. That was why I raised my hand.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
So we have open positions. Any luck filling them?
We have one open position.
We have one open position. I've talked about it with Dave, and I don't know. I probably shouldn't say any more than I've talked about it with Dave.
So would you say progress?
Well,
Progress?
I mean, we have Dan, so that's huge progress. But we still have one. Yes, you're right.
Okay, I just want to know what's up with that. That's all.
I do have something for your next meeting. Tony was going to bring it up tonight, but then realized it's not on your agenda. We are going to have a reserve fund transfer request. So if that could be on your agenda for the next meeting.
All right, I will add it to the agenda for next meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Allison, is that because of is that to balance the budget?
No, not at all. So actually, the reserve fund transfer request is in terms of some electrical work that needs to be done in town. So the town received a grant to convert the lights to LEDs, which we've undergone. And as part of that, all of these other issues have surfaced of current wiring that needs to be changed, knob and tube wiring that needs to be changed, that are serious public safety hazards in some of the buildings.
So
geez.
It's kind of like renovating a house, you know.
You try to do something good and you uncover something else.
I get it.
So Tony does want the work to proceed. They're just, it's unexpected cost that we can't really absorb in the budget. The reserve fund is $225,000 for this year, and we haven't tapped into it, or you haven't tapped into it yet. This work is going to be about $20,000. And then there also will be one more for one of the sewer station generators. It's a portable generator that's died. So we're putting that on the table for a reserve fund transfer as well.
Out of the rainy day fund, right?
Yes. It's technically the finance committee's, rainy day fund that you guys.
We're eager to see what that adds up to. Thank you.
Well, so I have rough estimates, and I put together the reserve fund transfer request, but because Tony wasn't on and we didn't give the committee enough notice, He just wanted me to speak on it, and then, you know, we'll formally present it at the next meeting. But like I said, the electrical work is about 20,000. The portable generator is 40,000. So
Okay.
that's what we're going to be showing you in 2 weeks.
So I guess we got to put that on the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, I will add it to the agenda.
Okay.
So what's going on here is
I have a question. Allison, so this is, for instance, for Dan and I to think about scheduling. When will we be getting these budgets so then we could make our, you know, appointments to meet with the various department?
So February 15th, I think we determined, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Hopefully sooner. Honestly, at this point, it's just me getting time with Tony to sit down and go through everything. I have a lot of the schedules already prepared, and now it's just a point of, you know, plugging in a draft of the budget figures.
So here's what I'm hoping, that when you get each of these, that we'll be told that it's there, right? In other words, will you be putting it into the document drive?
Yeah, so Bob has to grant me access. I didn't have access to the shared file last year. So if you give that to me, and once I have it, you know, the documents ready, I'll be putting it in the shared folder, but then I can send an email to everyone saying that they're available.
That's what we want. Yeah. Because otherwise,
right,
you know, I don't
want
to
just be sitting there. Yeah,
exactly. I don't want to have to check every 15 minutes. Oh, did it show up? Did it show up? So it'd be very helpful if you send us an email saying the police is in, the fire is, whatever. So we know.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Great.
So it'll actually, I'll be putting it, you know, it's going to be a single budget document with all the departments on it. So it'll be at one time that I'm putting it in there.
Yeah, and usually the way
yes, I'll send an email too.
Usually the way the shared drive works is you can send a link in the email. It'll just take you right to that document. You won't have to go hunt for it.
Exactly.
And is everybody clear about the reserve fund and what's going on and how that works? Is it worth 2 minutes?
It's worth 2 minutes.
All right, so reserve fund. Every year, the town, as part of the omnibus budget, the town votes a sum of money, a budget for the reserve fund. And it's like contingency, I guess is what it might be called in a commercial budgeting exercise. It is controlled by the finance committee. It's the only line item that the finance committee controls. And it's intended for, I've forgotten the phrase, unexpected, unforeseen, and something expenses. And the way it works is the way that funds are released from that is that the town administrator produces a form requesting a sum of money to be transferred from the reserve fund to another budget line item. And traditionally, we have asked for an explanation as to why it's absolutely necessary and some documentation of why that particular dollar amount. How'd I do?
Great.
You got 43 seconds to go.
Doesn't have to use them though.
All right. So I'm gonna save my 43 seconds and be able to use it later in some other topic. I think they do that in the Senate and the House.
Okay, hey, Bob, one other thing too. I mean, on this reserve fund, if we could find the funds elsewhere in the budget, I mean, that's on the table, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
For instance, that $40,000 that we didn't know we had.
Well, that's going to be in future years, not the year that we're in now.
Oh, that's right.
No, so he's going to get it now.
Okay, well.
Oh, because it's already happened, so maybe we could get it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, there's a motion made and seconded. All in favor, Vanderslice, aye.
Beatty,
Oh.
aye.
Brown eye.
Aye.
She and I.
McMack and I.
Awesome.
Zahora, aye.
That sounds like a unanimous vote in favor. Our next meeting is, we're doing this the second and fourth Wednesday, as I remember. So
Yeah.
Yes.
second Wednesday in February.
So
9 February.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
All right, night, everybody.
Thank you all.
Welcome.
That's right. Thank you, Dan.
Out here.